So as I'm watching it one day, the thought came to my mind, people say things about the Bible, Christianity and Jesus, that are just flat myths.
And welcome to the Wordsmith Forge Christian Fiction Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Baines. Today's guest is Fred von Kamecke, author of Busted, exposing popular myths about Christianity, and the intense, hope-forward novel Where Monsters Prowl. He's an apologist, a teacher, and a storyteller who isn't afraid to face darkness to show the light of Christ. We'll dig into why myths about the Bible persist, what clean but gritty fiction looks like, and how Scripture anchors real lives and real stories. Welcome, Fred, and we're glad you were able to join us today. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, again, thank you, Michael, for having me. I became a Christian, goodness gracious, 45 years ago. I got saved while I was in the Navy in Hawaii, and that sounds like, such a paradise, what a, idyllic setting. But Hawaii was and is a very dark place spiritually. A lot of idolatry. Every major cult and sect has residence over there because of the beautiful weather. So from the very beginning, I was cutting my teeth learning Christianity and having to defend it. So that set me on a lifelong journey. I went to school for too many years to mention, and a Pentecostal Bible college, a Reformed master's program, and then Trinity Evangelical Divinity School for my PhD. And so I got quite a picture of the mix out there of various expressions of Christianity within Protestantism. And through it all, through teaching and through witnessing and just sharing my faith, I just realized there's so many times that the objections that people come up with are things that they've been addressed countless times in a popular level all the way through academic studies. And so that's something that just percolated through my brain even from the very beginning. So one day, and this was in the early 2000s, I was watching a show called Mythbusters. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Yep. I love the show. They just, take on these cultural myths and just tear them apart. They would bust them. So as I'm watching it one day, the thought came to my mind, people say things about the Bible, Christianity and Jesus, that are just flat myths, not differences of interpretation. I'm sure we get to talk and we'll have differences, plenty of room for that. But these are things that just have no basis in reality whatsoever.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
And even worse, you can't trust the Bible because it's been translated too many times. Now, with that particular myth in mind, I got up from the TV, went right into my computer room, my office, and I tapped out that particular chapter. And just knocked out a few more. I pitched Zondervan, because I was a professor at the time. I had a connection.
Yeah.
And they decided, sure, let's go ahead and do it. And that came out in 2009, Busted, exposing popular myths about Christianity. So that's a head. What else can we talk about?
Well, I like to kind of let the audience get to know the author. If they can connect with you, I think they've got a much better chance of connecting with your books. So tell me, Fred, where do you live? What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Western North Carolina, just outside of Hendersonville. My wife and I moved here 3 years ago, almost. Well, it was in June. So 3 years and change. And we came from Flat, Illinois, and we had moved up to Illinois from flat Florida. So here we are in the mountains here. And yeah, they're not the Alps. Sure, they're not the Rockies. But to a living in flatlands, these are freaking mountains here.
Yeah.
And they're gorgeous.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
And you may know that just a scant year ago, we had a hurricane come roaring through here for the first time in written memory, and devastated so much of the area.
Yeah.
And there are still places that people are digging out. It's just horrific. Other places they've rebuilt. But you see these signs all over the place, bumper stickers and whatnot. Western North Carolina strong. And it is a tribute to the spirit of the people that just rose up and got together and just rebuilt the place. Now, on a smaller detail of this, our neighborhood, we were spared so much of it. Electricity was out. We were trapped because of the access roads were flooded. So some people had generators, and they would, knock on the door. Hey, do you need some freezer space? Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Other people had this thing called gas stoves.
Oh,
We had electric.
yeah.
Boom. But they had gas. So knock, knock. My wife shows up with a big, thing of pancake batter. Can I cook on your stove? And that turned into, people sharing
Wow.
a big pancake feast. Did that a couple times. Someone up the hill, hey, hamburgers and hot dogs at 4:00. Come on up. And one lady, I gave her a hug. This was early on. Knock, knock on the door. Could you use some coffee? Absolute meltdown. Yes. Oh, I love you. And so that was the way that people stuck together.
Yeah.
And, I'm used to, Florida. It's a tourist area, but it's very transient. And they were neighbors that I never really got to know all that well. Illinois, I had some close friends, a great church. But again, neighbors didn't even know, and people were just kind of sticking to themselves. From the very first time we moved here, people were reaching out, getting to know you. And it was real. It wasn't just, here we are in the South, I'm supposed to be friend. No, it was real friendly.
Yeah.
And it came out in spades during the hurricane's aftermath. And just, I think it was about a week ago, we had a 1-year commemoration where we invited a bunch of folks up, had a little fire going, cooked some pancakes. This time we had it on the electric stove, and just had a great time of fellowship and remembering and rejoicing. And it was so cool because as we're saying goodbye, one dear lady, she just burst into tears.
Oh,
Just at the beauty of it,
yeah.
And this is a fair mix of Christian, non-Christian, seekers, and atheists. Didn't matter. It's just the love of this neighborhood. And for us, the love of Jesus we're sharing with these people.
Right.
So that's where I live. That got a little wordy.
No, that's all right. We all know the state was just ravaged by floodwaters, but is there still some place locally where you like to get away just to kind of refresh yourself?
Many places like that, and the big ticket items are the up on the Blue Ridge Parkway and the mountains, mountain trails connected to it, and also a place called DuPont and national. It's a state forest.
Yeah.
Pisgah National Forest, DuPont State Forest. Those are the big ones. And there's others. But on the parkway, there's places like Mount Pisgah, named after the biblical, and a place called Black Balsam Bald, which is my personal favorite. We were just there a week ago.
Oh,
It's probably about a 20, 30-minute hike. through some trees, and then you're doing some rock climbing, and then you're out, on a 360 view, and then you can just keep going up, and it's not endless, but we were up there one day, and this guy came hiking up, says, "How far does this trail go?" Because many trails are loops, or they go out, come back. And I said, "How far do you want to go?" Because, it's nearly 30 miles on that one.
Yeah.
I've probably done 3 of it, So, yeah, I just love those places. And
so what are your 3 favorite songs?
oh my goodness. I have a mix of classic rock all the way through gospel music, so
and
when it comes
I understand it can change at any day. Whatever's playing in your head can be different from one time to another.
When it comes to playing spiritual songs, what I love to do, I'm a guitarist as you are. I love to, my voice, no. I sing with my fingers. So I will finger pick some of the old hymns and some of the old, choruses.
Yeah.
That's what I really enjoy, worship-wise and Christian music-wise. And of course, in a church service, just singing my heart out because no one can hear me. Also, we have nearby, it's a local brewery, and they have a Friday night open jam session. And I don't personally drink, and this is not a roaring drunk get into a fight place. This is a family place. Have a hamburger, have a beer, have a Coke, whatever. Yeah. And people gather, and whoever shows up, guitar, banjo, violin, mandolin, and it's a mix of bluegrass, which I've never played before I moved here. It's kind of fun.
It is. Yeah.
It's mostly when it comes to bluegrass, it's all songs I've never learned. And some guy, he's holding a fiddle, and he goes, "All right, this next one, it just goes C, G, and D over and over. Okay, hit it." And you pick it up and you follow along.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some classic rock songs and, Neil Young and Leonard Skinner and those the Fab Four, the Beatles. Yeah. I just love playing those old things on the acoustic.
Yeah.
Acoustifying them. So.
Well, how about your movies? Do you have 3 favorite movies?
Oh my, movies. That just sends me into overload. There are so many. I think the favorite movie I've seen recently was the second Top Gun, Maverick.
Oh.
I so enjoyed that because it was action, adventure, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it got into the depth of the actors, their lives. And it didn't have an underlying agenda. It's just, let's fly some jets and let's, beat up some bad guys and, and meanwhile, hey, I understand you and thank you for saving me and,
yeah.
And then a little bit of romance on the side. It was just, it's a great all around movie.
Yeah.
I like movies like that, and all the way back to, some of the first movies I remember, maybe not the first, but early on, the old James Bond, Goldfinger, and Thunderball,
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. So my next question you really pretty well covered. But was there, let's see, you kind of started talking about how you came to Christ in Hawaii, which is, it is, as you mentioned, pretty amazing because there's so many distractions there. The scenery, the ocean, the culture. And then if you want to become spiritual, I've known that it's a very dark place for a long time. So for you to come out of there as a Christian is interesting, to say the least. So you started in and told us about that, and then went into debunking Christian myths. Was there anything else you would like to mention about your walk with Christ?
Going all the way back, I think it's helpful to see where I'm coming from. Where I was a single sailor in the 70s in Hawaii, and just fill in all the blanks in the times of the 70s for someone who's not saved.
Yeah.
What kind of lifestyle I was living, and I wouldn't say I was a falling down drug addict, but I was close, and I was just a mess. And through it all, I just had a nagging sense that I was not doing right, and I just didn't like that, but I didn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it just bugged me for years, frankly. And just at a particularly low point, my life was falling apart, and I was just inches away from someone actually discovering, my illicit drug abuse on the ship I was on. Just before things like that went down, I got off the ship. Now I'm in shore duty, and things are still messed up. And I went to church once, okay, well, great. I start reading the Bible for like the second or third time. Now I'm just looking at this thing. And at one particular moment, I picked up the Bible. I was on leave. I'm back home. I've got my childhood Bible in my lap. And I just open it up to start again and find out, okay, what is this church business? What's this Jesus thing? What is this all about, this religion? And I was caught on the title page of that Bible. It said, "The New Testament of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." Oh, it's about him. And I started right in, and the, Abraham begat, and all that stuff kind of threw me for a second until the birth of Jesus Christ came about like this.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating.
Yeah.
And the more I read it, the more, rather than me looking into it, I could sense God looking into me, and just really, really starting to work on me. And went back to Hawaii, didn't read the Bible, went right back to my lifestyle, but it was so much more empty than before. And it was a year and change later that someone invited me to a Bible study. Now, very recently, there was a movie about Chuck Smith and the Jesus People movement. The name of the movie is escaping me. What is it?
I think it's the Jesus Revolution.
That's it. That's it. Jesus Revolution.
Yeah.
Now, I got saved at the tail end of that time, and I was in one of Chuck Smith's offshoot churches. It was called the North Shore Christian Fellowship, and it was part of Calvary Chapel. Didn't know it by that name at the time, but it was that ethos. So we're talking long hair, hippie freak surfer dudes, and me and my short navy hair,
Yeah.
And they just accepted me and loved me. I wasn't the only one, but one of the few. And in that Bible study, for the first time, I encountered people worshiping God. I'd been around people singing songs. I've never been around worship. Started crying. But at the same time, I felt like this is home. And then at the end of the sniveling and snuffling, now it's Bible study. Okay, we're going to go into Romans chapter 7. Now, there's an easy passage. Now, by that time, I had already read through Romans and thought, okay, I'll know what's going on. No. The guy who was teaching that Bible study, once again, not him, but the Lord through him, was just slaying me alive. And, how does he know? Where is he getting this? It was just, It was blowing me away.
Yeah.
And at the very end of it, he did this. Big Bible study, big room. I'm right here. Let's say you. Now, if there's anyone here tonight who has never surrendered to Jesus Christ, looked right at me,
Ow.
and pinned me to the wall. I asked him later, did he do that on purpose? No. He's just looking around the room.
Yeah.
But God had him look directly at me. And
Right.
I knew as I rode my trusty 12 speed home that night to my little surf shack on the North Shore of Hawaii, I knew if I got hit by a truck, I knew where I was going. I didn't say any prayer. I didn't, none of that.
But you believed.
There was a change. Now, the next Sunday, I went to that service. I'm just waiting. I knew about altar calls. I had no idea what he preached on. If you'd like it, boom, I'm up. I do say the prayer, but, the work's already done.
Yeah.
That afternoon, they had baptisms in a place called Sharks Cove on the North Shore. So there I was, baptized in the Pacific Ocean, and it just so sealed the deal for me. And later that afternoon, I think I'd been clean from pot and alcohol for a grand total of a week, probably. So now, sitting on my beach right across from my house, watching the afternoon sun, I would have been smoking a joint then. Period. That's what I would have done. No, I didn't. I had my Bible. I had my children's Bible again. And I was reading something out of Timothy, and just suddenly this overwhelming sense of peace came on me. I never felt it before. I'm not sure if I have felt it as strong since, although I certainly have had it.
Yeah.
And I don't base my salvation on that feeling, but it was a confirmation to me. You're on the right path. Stay on this path.
Yeah.
And it's been bumpy because I'm a human. I've had some terrific crashes, but that's what we do. And you get back up. So it's been a wonderful life.
That's a wonderful testimony too. And I think it's one that a lot of people can relate to, whether they've had something similar or not, but they can say, wow, that's what happened to Fred. Christ was definitely moving in his life. Our pastor this Sunday talked about, you have a plan to find God. Well, guess what? God has a plan to find you, brother, and he will. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that extra bit with us. I think it's important. So, the interview, you talked about your Busted, which I would say is nonfiction. How did you make that leap from fiction, from nonfiction to fiction?
That came about, my mind thinks in pictures, and a little snippet, a little line will come to mind, and a story will just kind of begin to form around it. And I'd had that going through my head for a while. That's one piece. Another piece is when I grew up, I was born in Massachusetts, spent the first 7 years up there. And Massachusetts is another dark place. It's very, it has a rich history, if you will, of witchcraft and the Salem witch trials and all those kind of things. And ghost stories were very popular. And I grew up with a family ghost. So if you're missing something, well, Edith took it. You find a hairpin. Well, that wasn't there before. Edith put it there. And on. And just accepted the fact that there's this ghost named Edith, and ghosts are out there, and it's just the way it is. But when I became a Christian, I realized, whether or not there are such things, I don't believe there are the way that we configure them.
Right.
But the apparitions, let us say, the spiritual things that people encounter aren't the dead and departed. They are demons masquerading. And so that began to coalesce in a story. And I just came up with a story that I could wrap around seemingly to the person in it, the main character. Her name's Alexi, that she thinks she's being haunted. Her father. It's a rough book. It's the publisher said you need to put a PG-17 on this because it gets into rough issues like child abuse. Yeah. I don't describe them graphically, but this is the history of my main character, Alexi. And her father had done it when she was a child, 11 years old for a few years, and she got out of that. Many years later, her father commits suicide and starts showing up in her nightmares.
Oh.
And then he shows up when she's awake. Oh. So Alexi thinks she's being haunted.
Yeah.
But she's not. It's much worse. And that turned into Where Monsters Prowl.
Yeah.
Now, you will forgive me with the product placement, but hey, here we are. I'd like people to know about these things. Now, when I wrote Busted, I had the idea, I pitched it, I wrote it. It was 3 years top to bottom. Vague idea, on the shelves. Came out in 2009. A couple of years later, I thought, well, I think I'll write a novel. How hard can that be? Oh, my. That took many years. So it didn't come out until the end of 23, December of 23. Yeah. And, with all the disclaimers, it's a tough book. It's a dark book. It's got some hard areas. There's also quirky characters. There's a lot of humor, a lot of real life in it, a lot of interaction, a touch of romance. And through it all, Jesus Christ just reigns supreme. In one of the underlying verses, there's two. One of them is, I'm the vine, you're the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
And another character, Nolan, finds that out. And then, of course, greater is he who is in you than he that is in the world. So those are the kind of things that I wrap this story around. It's the reality of demon possession, which I've seen with my own eyes, and I give different names different times, but I put those scenes in the book. A couple of things I saw on short mission trips in the Philippines, others in Hawaii, others here in the U.S. So, I want to get that reality in front of people in a disarming way, but also in a thought-provoking way.
And our audience might be wondering, well, is it clean? I mean, you can describe a lot of horrific things and still keep it clean. Is that?
It is clean. It is a Christian book. I don't hesitate to hand it out to people in the church. I do suggest to young people, you might want to wait. I was doing a book signing a couple weeks back, and the idea is sell books. And
right.
This one young lady came by and she picked it up. She's looking at it, expressing interest. I said, "Can I ask you a question? How old are you?" She said, 15. I said, this is probably not the right book for you. And just because of the mature subject matter, but it's not a filthy book. It's not a slasher book. It's not a horror. It is a hard-hitting look at reality. This is a dark world, and look at the light that Jesus shines into it and he comes through and he conquers, and he's glorious and he's wonderful. And that is the focus of the book.
Yeah. I interviewed Kent Wyatt a few weeks ago, and he also writes some pretty tough stuff, but he says Christian authors allow you to walk through a gritty, exciting world and not feel dirty.
Yes. I've been compared to Frank Peretti.
Oh my, yeah, that's high praise. And while we're talking
and I take
about
it as such.
yeah, while we're talking about that, I noticed that one of your reviews said, if you're looking for an intense Christian page turner and what would possibly happen next, this book is for you. Read it. That said, read it in 2 settings because I couldn't put it down. The author has a way of painting a clear picture of each scene. Look forward to when it's made into a movie.
Me too.
That would be exciting. But it sounds like your reviewers give you high praise. And
I appreciate every one of them.
Definitely. My next question is biblical truth or passage that anchors the book we're discussing, and you already kind of gave me those 2 of them. Would those 2 pretty well fit that? Answer that question?
Yes, they do. Yeah. They aren't named until late into the story, but just looking back, see the fingerprints of these truths. And once they are announced, it is in pastoral counseling to the young man trying to help Alexei out of his depth, over his head, falling at every point. And he has to learn it's not you. It's the power of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that comes through. I'm certainly proclaiming a message, but I'm not being preachy. There is a scene where Alexei is in the church, a church service, fish out of water. She's really uncomfortable. And the way I present the sermon is very user-friendly, something that she can grasp and understand. And again, even though there's a preacher preaching, there's enough going on that it doesn't come across as I'm sermonizing in that chapter. It's an active chapter, but the message comes across.
Yeah. You hope your book sharpens the faith of the reader. And in what way would you do that? That we are the branches, Christ is the vine?
Yes. In terms of for where monsters prowl, that this reality is in the darkness in which we live. And we don't have to be afraid of it, but we have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And as we encounter it, Jesus Christ is with us, promises to empower us, and even in the midst of persecution that indeed comes, it does not in any way validate his power or ruin us, even to the point of death. Like, where is Charlie Kirk today?
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead. No, he's not. He's walking with Jesus right now. Well done, good and faithful servant. See, the darkness got to his body, his soul.
No.
His body will rise.
Yeah.
When it comes to Busted, periodically I get a chance to teach on it, whether in a Sunday school or a weekend gathering, whatever. And it is to watch the lights go on as people listen and they realize this is something I can do. I have an objection. And I'll tell you a funny story. I think it's funny. The first objection is the Bible that's been translated too many times. That's actually something, now you can't tell her, all right? It's our little secret. This is something my sister told me years ago. just came up in conversation way before I had any inkling of writing a book. And you know how things can be. It wasn't the time to say anything.
Yeah.
There's a time and place. That wasn't it. Just let it go. But out of it, when I was watching Mythbusters, I wrote that chapter. Now, cut to a few years later, I give her a copy of that, family members. And a friend of hers came by. And what's this book? Oh, that's a book my brother-in-law wrote. And her friend looks at that first myth, can't trust the Bible, it's been translated to, oh, I believe that. And my sister-in-law goes, oh, no, it's true. Here, let me show you. And walks her through it.
Yeah.
Not knowing to this day that she inspired it.
Yeah, we'll keep that a secret.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I think that validates the Bible. It's been translated by so many people, because you can say, so where is the big divide? The virgin, the death on the cross, the resurrection. There's no difference from one translation to the other. They all
no, there's not.
And
we're all dealing with the same Greek and Hebrew manuscripts that stretch back into the ancient world. They haven't disappeared.
Yeah.
Funny, people, I do another chapter on the Gospels. I don't address this directly. But, people, you have these different Gospels, and they've got their own agendas. They're saying different things. They contradict, et cetera, et cetera. I'd just like to ask, which one of the Gospels says Jesus did not rise from the dead?
Yeah.
Crickets. And you can do that with every major doctrine.
Yeah.
There is such a agreement on the central doctrine of who Jesus is and what he did, and the way that it's dispersed throughout the entire New Testament. This has to be a testimony that predates any written testimony. Yeah. This is what they preached. And Jesus, Lord, the glorious, even in some verses, the Yahweh of the Old Testament's predictions are applied directly to Jesus. Stunning. And that's in very many sections throughout it.
Yeah.
So, glorious Lord. Translation.
Exactly. If there was one I might be a little skeptical of, it would be the very, very King James Version, and then only because of the foreword that the translators gave to King, because it sounded like they were praising him and holding him up as some deity. I'm sure they're thankful that he financed their translation.
Yeah.
But no.
And I do need to acknowledge translations that are better than others.
I'm sure.
Some are just really, they're not good at all. I won't mention it by name, but there's a very recent one out. But you see, they don't invalidate the centuries of the testimony of the scriptures.
I don't know how far to push the...
Push away. That's why we're here.
No, I was thinking of this. I was trying to remember who said it, or it's attributed to probably quite a few people. But we need unity in essentials, and liberty in non-essentials, and charity in all things. So it's like when they ran into Jesus and said there was a man down the street casting out demons and preaching, and we told him to stop, and Jesus said, well, if he's for us, he can't be against us. So I would hate to be of preaching to people anything that would lead them astray or give them false impressions. So I hope if I ever do that, someone will say, "Where'd you get that?" You know. So
I've had that thrown at me a time or two. Such
yeah.
is the path. We're always learning.
How do you see your writing? Is it more as a ministry, a message, and how so?
I don't see those as mutually exclusive. You know, it is a which makes it an outreach, a mission, and I'm sharing a message. And whether it's fiction or nonfiction, there is a central theme I'm trying to bring across, and it's about the reality of the gospel and who God is, who Jesus is. I have a book that I've done a proposal to Regal Publishers. So hopefully this gets taken up and published. It's a book about the Gospel of Mark, and I call it The Divine Invasion, Mark Jesus.
Mm.
It's 2 volumes. Volume 1 is Who is This Man? And it goes from chapter 1 all the way to 9, verse 1. Why I would stop there, you just have to look at it. But it is I'm going through and commenting on the text, if you will, but I'm doing so trying to gear it down, not for a seminary, but for just serious Bible students, people in the church who want to learn more about Jesus, learn more about, and also small groups. It's actually going on a test flight in 3 separate small groups, which I
Yeah.
and the feedback I'm getting. Okay, I need to clarify a little bit, and that worked, but that is clearly I am picking up on Mark's preaching of Jesus and making it as clear as I possibly can so that people can grasp who he is and turn around and embrace Jesus and follow him, become his disciple, he's spreading his message, because that's what Jesus does in the gospel itself.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing about it, Terry, you read has a focus. And what I'm doing is I'm taking one aspect that you tried, and that's the fact that in Jesus, God himself has come to earth to fulfill ancient promises, to bring back his people, and to bring in his kingdom. He does it, the Father does it through his Son. That's why invasion. It's divine because it's God coming.
Yeah.
Invasion because it's his kingdom invading this kingdom. How Mark presents it. So I can hardly wait to come out. Other things I'm working on, other fiction, other Bible, same sort of theme. How do we understand this? And how do we live it?
Well, it sounds very interesting. Is there that you feel like maybe shaped you early on?
I read a little book by a guy named C.S. Lewis.
Oh.
Christianity.
Yeah.
Several years, I've been a Christian for years. And I picked it up and I read it again. I'm amazed. That's where I got that. Things that are engraved.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Good old C.S. Lewis brought it up. And, there are others I could mention, but he's, one of the prime movers in how I think and how I present people. And make no mistake, I am anywhere near it. Don't even try to be. But the way that he did what he called mere Christianity, it's beyond this denomination, that denomination. Side note, when I was teaching, I did one class, one semester. Here's the storyline. And I get questions, because the class was a mix, Christian, non-Christian. Well, how does this relate to my Catholic or, well, the Greek Orthodox? And, well, my Calvinist pastor said, and we're in the Bible here. We're talking about something that predates all of that.
Yeah.
Old Testament, New Testament, yeah, by centuries. What is that core essence that to us? What is that mere Christianity? What unshaken? And it goes back to the person of Jesus, the attestation. This is my son, and the Spirit filling him, and then he shared it with us. That's just a glorious thing.
Yeah. Do you read much Christian fiction?
I actually don't. No, I have read, and the name is escaping me. Oh dear. It'll come.
What I was leading to is if you thought Christian was falling short today,
I do.
And
I'll start to read some things, and it's like it's okay. This is a Christian book, so I'm going to preach to you, and it just comes across like, okay, I want to be engaged in the story. If you want to tell me the Bible, great. Bring it in naturally.
Yeah.
And the way people encounter things, doubts and fears.
Well, Fred, I really enjoyed it.
Likewise.
And as we wind down, is there any particular that you would like to leave the audience?
Someone once said many years ago, there is nothing more sure than Christ. And the more that is true. Everything and try to crumble the gospel, it works. Something we can. It changed my life just personally. Counts little for others. Sure counts much for me.
Excellent. So how can readers get in your work or connect with you?
I'm going to spell it out. It's the first initial of my last name, FONKAM, as in mama, ECKE, F. Von 1. YouTube channel. It's under my name, Kamecke. But if you just type in my name, it'll come.
Do you mind if we close with a word of prayer? Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for all the abilities that you've given us. We thank you with your pull on us, that you encourage us to use the gifts that you've given us. Could be demonstrated. We thank you for Fred, who has come a long way from now shares the light with others. Puts his faith down on paper for others to read. Lord, that you encourage other Christian authors to be genuine, to not shy away from the dirty world we live in, because your light shines best shining through the darkness. And we just bless Fred and his family. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Fred, as I say at the end of every, this is the part that always have to slide my mouse over and hit that stop button because it's heartless to just kind of cut things off.
I mean, this has been wonderful.
I'm certainly glad that we, and I appreciate you taking time away from. What would I have if I didn't have authors to interview?
Right.
Interesting. Anyway, you have and thank you for your time. Goodbye. That Fred von Kamecke, mountain hiker and a writer who reminds us, he who is in you than he who is in the. Today's conversation helped you. Check out Busted for common objections and where getting clean read about spiritual reality and Christ's victory. Connect with Fred at F. von Kamecke and on YouTube. Search Fred von or Blue Ridge Bible Talks. Served you? Tap like, subscribe, and share. And if you pick up one of his books, it helps. Until next time, may God's your life. Stay grounded, stay in. This is Mike Baines, out.